morning, everyone. Paul Ruppel here with Fox 29 News Now. Hope you're having a great day so far. We have a couple stories to bring you. First, we're going to start with some national news. President Trump is headed to North Carolina to see the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. We'll get to that in a moment. But what was setting up to be a blockbuster hearing on Capitol Hill is very much in doubt this morning. The woman who's accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault appears unlikely to show up to testify against him on Monday. As Fox News correspondent Doug Luzeta reports from Washington, she's joining a chorus of Democrats who are now calling for an FBI investigation.
Well, the woman who has accused Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault appears unlikely to show up to testify against him on Monday.
And that's because, according to her attorney, they're asking for an FBI investigation to be opened up before she does that. So she's still willing. She just requires an FBI investigation. But now she's joining a chorus of Democrats who are now calling for that investigation. The question is it actually going to happen?
Well, it seems like yesterday the president thought that the FBI shouldn't get involved. What's the situation now, Doug?
Yeah, that's what he's indicating, is that the FBI doesn't want to get involved in this, and they are unlikely to do so right now. As far as this hearing is concerned, I guess it's technically still scheduled for Monday. Christine Blasey Ford, the woman who's made this accusation, has indicated through an attorney that she is not going to be there, as both sides of this nomination really dig in their heels. With the future of his Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, hanging in the balance, an unusually restrained President Trump sought to nudge the process ahead.
Hopefully, the woman will come forward, state her case. He will state his case before representatives of the United States Senate, and then they will vote.
But will the accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, show up for a Monday hearing on Capitol Hill to detail her allegation that Kavanaugh attacked her when they were in high school? Despite earlier claims, one of her attorneys now says no, at least not at this point. That would align Ford with many Democrats who have long sought to delay the confirmation process.
An independent investigation, a background check by the FBI is essential.
And one Democrat didn't limit her criticism to just Kavanaugh.
And I just want to say to the men of this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing for a change.
And most Republicans, from Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley on down, are treading very carefully here.
If she's worried now about a public hearing, we're willing to do a private hearing. We'll do it any way she wants to do it. We just want to get the facts and let her be able to tell us what her side of the story.
Now, if she does not show up on Monday, that may embolden Republicans to move forward with a nomination or a confirmation vote on Brett Kavanaugh, but it really depends on whether the votes are there. And as we keep talking about, it really comes down to moderate Republicans, Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and the degree to which they would still be willing to support Kavanaugh despite this allegation.
Jeff Flake might be in there too, yeah. All right, Doug, thank you. Stay on it. We'll see you again tomorrow. Well, the woman who has accused Supreme...
Hello again. That was Doug Luzeta reporting from Washington, D.C. I want to get you to what I mentioned earlier, the Hurricane Florence story. This hurricane left massive flooding in its wake, and today President Trump is getting an up-close look at the incredible damage. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has more from North Carolina.
President Trump is heading to North Carolina today to check out storm damage. Florence has already claimed the lives of now 37 people, spanning 3 different states. And even though the rain has stopped some of the rivers down there, by the way, that's a highway, not a river, some of the rivers are still cresting at this time.
So we have been checking in with Lauren Blanchard. She's been in Wilmington for, about a week now, maybe more. But now she's moved to Raleigh, and that's because that's where the National Guard is, Lauren?
Yeah, good morning, Mike and Alex. That's exactly right. My team and I were able to get out of Wilmington about a day ago. There was only one route to get out of the city that we found before some of those roads reflooded when the tide and the rains continued. So we were able to get out of there. It took us maybe 6 hours to make what should have been only an hour and a half or 2 hour drive. So we are now in Raleigh, not trying to go back into those areas for the time being because supplies are so limited down there. They're still trying to restore power in Wilmington. Many many areas still very flooded. As this area where I'm at right now, this is the State Emergency Operations Center. They are at what's called level 1, which means they're basically running 24/7. This is the highest level that the state operates at when there's some sort of disaster like a hurricane, some other sort of natural disaster. And this is where they'll do all of their media briefings. They'll also, keep folks from not only the federal level, the state level, but also other states, all going to be working with folks here as they are trying to do this recovery. Now, in North Carolina, Mike and Alex, there are still some 10,000 people still in shelters. Wow. That gives you an idea of how many homes are still impacted by this, because officials are telling them, we understand you want to go home. It's been a number of days, but at this point, it's almost been a week since some of those initial evacuation orders went into effect, and they're telling them it's just not safe to go home yet.
No, we're looking at footage that was shot yesterday. I mean, the water is up to roof levels, and in some places you can only see like the light bulbs of street lamps. My God.
Yeah, and that what was so dangerous about Florence, because even though, and this was something they were trying to make sure people understood, even though it was downgraded from a Category 4 to a Category 1 by the time it hit on Friday morning, it wasn't necessarily the winds that were going to be so dangerous. It was the water and the amount of water that it was bringing, because it was, and as we've seen, it's dumped, 40 inches or more in some areas. It's caused a lot of these very large rivers to go over their banks. They've then flooded neighborhoods. There's some cases where, they're trying to save certain highways, and by rerouting the water, then it goes into other neighborhoods. So even if you think you're just outside the safe zone, that's not necessarily guaranteed with this amount of water.
This footage we're looking at is unbelievable.
Just seeing them go past street signs.
Yeah. Hey, Lauren, great job.
Right.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't know exactly where.
Again, that was Fox's Lauren Blanchard reporting from North Carolina. A short time ago, the president was leaving Washington, D.C. for his trip to North Carolina. He spoke with the press outside the White House before his departure. Let's listen into a little bit of what he had to say here. He was talking and being asked questions when this starts about the confirmation process for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. And he had to say, we'll have to make a decision if Supreme Court, the nominee, sexual assault accuser, makes a credible showing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. He said it would be very interesting. Here are more of the president's remarks.
Good job. I'd really want to see her. I really would want to see what she has to say. But I want to give it all the time they need. They've already given it time. They've delayed a major hearing. There's no more just about, look, when I first decided to run, everybody said the single most important thing you do is a Supreme Court justice, okay? We've all heard that many times about a president. I would say this. I think he's an extraordinary man. I think he's a man of great intellect, as I've been telling you, and he has an unblemished record. This is a very tough thing for him and his family, and we want to get it over with. At the same time, we want to give tremendous amounts of time. If she shows up, that would be wonderful. If she doesn't show up, that would be unfortunate. I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for numerous reasons, but we have an Attorney General. I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for many reasons, and you understand that. We are looking at lots of different things. I have a great cabinet. We have the greatest economy ever in the history of our country. So we're very happy with the way things are running, generally speaking. I don't think we've ever had an economy like this. Somebody was on just this morning from Reagan, from the Reagan White House. He said this is one of the great economies in history. So we're very happy. I can't hear you. Well, the FBI has been very involved with respect to Justice Kavanaugh. They know Justice Kavanaugh very well. They've investigated him, I guess, 6 times. and they've investigated him for this hearing. Look, if she shows up and makes a credible showing, that'll be very interesting, and we'll have to make a decision. But I can only say this, he is such an outstanding man. Very hard for me to imagine that anything happens. We had very good news from North Korea, South Korea. They met, and we had some great responses. I got a tremendous letter from Kim Jong-un. As you know, it was delivered 3 days ago. We're making tremendous progress with respect to North Korea. Prior to becoming president, it looked like we were going to war with North Korea, and now we have a lot of progress. We've gotten our prisoners back. We're getting our remains back. They continue to come in. A lot of tremendous things, but very importantly, no missile testing, no nuclear testing. Now they want to go and put a bid in for the Olympics. No, we have a lot of very good things going. Remember this, prior to my coming into office, a lot of people thought it was inevitable, we were going to war in North Korea. And now the relationships, I have to tell you, at least on a personal basis, they're very good. It's very much calmed down. Well, we'll see what he's looking at. We'll see. But in the meantime, we're talking. It's very calm. He's calm. I'm calm. So we'll see what happens. Okay? No, I'm not. I'm not, because if he's honest, and he is, I think he's going to tell, as long as he tells the truth, it's 100%. He was with Ronald Reagan. He was with Bob Dole. He was with McCain. He was with many, many people. That's what he did. Paul Manafort was with me for a short period of time. He did a good job. I was, very happy with the job he did. And I will tell you this, I believe that he will tell the truth. And if he tells the truth, no problem. I don't want to talk about it now. Because we want to be able to take what we can handle. Well, I'd have to see what she has to say. I've given her a lot of time. The Senate has given her a lot of time. We continue to give her a lot of time. We've held up the whole hearing. What I don't like is that Senator Feinstein had this letter for a period of like 3 months, from July, maybe even before that, but from July. Why didn't Senator Feinstein bring this up at her meeting with Judge Kavanaugh? Why didn't the Democrats? They knew about the letter because she was showing it to Democrats. Why did they wait till everything was finished and then bring it up? That doesn't look good. Thank you very much. I'll see you in North Carolina.
You're watching some tape from earlier of President Trump departing for North Carolina to go see the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. Force One. Let's take a live look at the White House as we fill you in a little bit about some of the details the president was talking about there. Lawyers for Christine Blasey Ford say that before she testifies on Capitol Hill, that hearing's tentatively set for Monday, she wants the FBI to investigate her allegation that she was sexually assaulted by Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. But the Senate Judiciary Chairman, Iowa's Chuck Grassley, says that an FBI investigation wouldn't have any bearing on Ford's testimony and says that there's no reason for further delay. Other Republicans are suggesting that Ford will have only this one opportunity to testify, and that's according to the Associated Press. So the president there was getting questions from the press outside the White House as he was departing from North Carolina about that process and where things go from here. President saying he was willing to have it take a bit more time, but there seems to be a limit there to his patience. The other question he was getting was about South Korea and North Korea. The leaders of those two countries had a summit, I believe it's on day 2, where they announced a sweeping set of agreements after talks in Pyongyang. They included a promise by Kim to permanently dismantle the North's main nuclear complex if the United States takes corresponding measures. Those include the acceptance of international inspectors to monitor the closing of a key missile test site and launch pad, and a vow to work together to host the Summer Olympics in 2032. The president was tweeting about this earlier, saying that it's a sign that North Korea is recommitting to denuclearization. He's been touting he said overnight, actually, that Kim Jong-un has agreed to allow nuclear inspections subject to final negotiations and to permanently dismantle that site. So the president was taking some questions there. We heard his responses. Let's get back to Hurricane Florence. Here's a report from North Carolina on the Coast Guard rescues that have been occurring there. As historic flooding persists there, the Coast Guard continues to rescue stranded residents. So far, more than 400. But repeated exposure to the state's growing devastation takes an emotional toll on some Coast Guard members, watching their home state suffer. Fox News' Emily Akita has the story.
A few feet forward, they're in the trees. To the side, it's power lines.
It's just you!
The Jayhawk carefully hovering over Rocky Point resident Steve Lewis.
Bring basket inside cabin.
Eventually hoisted up from his roof.
It came in fast, so my house is pretty much wrecked.
His home almost entirely inundated with water. The crew appeared level-headed and confident throughout the 7-hour flight, surveying flooded areas in North Carolina, hiding the fact that this was their first ever roof rescue mission.
99.9% of our cases are done offshore in the middle of the ocean with nothing else around. So we never do this.
But beneath their seemingly invincible spirits are just Carolinians.
I hugged my kids pretty tight a couple days ago when I got home.
Witnessing their home state devastated by growing floodwaters.
This is home. So it's pretty emotional.
Pilot Matt Delahunty shares an embrace with the survivor. He says once the adrenaline from a rescue subsides, reality sets in.
It's worse than a couple days ago.
Each mission, a painful reminder of the utter loss fellow Carolinians are facing.
At that moment, it wasn't a Coast Guard officer anymore. I was just a fellow human being.
Despite emotionally taxing work days, the crew says it's an honor to serve the community that has given them so much.
We get to be a part of a really cool, really just awesome, amazing opportunity to be an answer to prayer for people who have, in many cases, been stranded for days now.
Coast Guard helicopter crews have rescued more than 170 people since Florence and still counting. In Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Emily Ikeda, Fox News.
It's tough hearing the emotion in their voices there, the first responders in North Carolina responding to this tragedy in Hurricane Florence in North Carolina. Want to get you out to a local story now. Let's get you the details here. A gunshot brings out the SWAT team in Nicetown early this morning. Police arrested one man for firing a gun in a home with a 2-year-old. Steve Killey was all over the story from start to finish. Here is a live report he left for us this morning.
We were on North Broad Street on one shooting story when we watched a new one get some A-plus police response going by us at Temple University Hospital. Seeing about 20 police cars go by, lights, sirens, and radio calls for shots fired. Soon we learned this 50-year-old man, 2 hours before seen safely here in custody, was in his Nicetown row house here with his 2 semi-automatic guns, his 2-year-old daughter, and 41-year-old girlfriend. And the girlfriend on her phone with 911 dispatchers, telling them he was intoxicated, armed, and shooting one of the guns when the 911 dispatcher suddenly hears a shot fired.
It was just unusual in this case that the female caller was still on the phone, had an open line with 911 dispatchers. And at the time police were going to make entry to the property, they heard the shot, and we still had the open line, so we were able to get police to back off immediately.
Then as we arrive on scene on Germantown Avenue, looking down the Gunman Street, Roberts Avenue, with at least 20 police officers, we watched the Philly police SWAT team show up. Their armored truck letting them get close. Its microphone and loudspeaker letting them safely talk to the man and ask him to put his guns down. Let his little daughter and girlfriend come out safely, and for him too to come out. Guns down and hands up. And then we watched it happen live on Good Day at 5 a.m. with our viewers because a neighbor had his home surveillance camera just doors away provide a live video feed on his telephone screen as we watched police pull off a peaceful, safe surrender. First, the 2-year-old and mom come out, then the gunman.
Why it took us over an hour for him to come out, because we had his name, we used a bullhorn, we used a cell phone, and we were finally, after an hour, able to convince him to come out, turn himself in, which he did. So why it took so long for him to come out, come to his senses, I don't know, but at least he did, and nobody got hurt.
The 2-year-old and mom taken away by police in a car to a safe place to talk. The man taken away here in a van with a holding cell as he came to his senses, but likely won't be coming back home for a long time. In Nicetown, Steve Keeley, Fox 29 News. Back to you.
Steve Keeley reporting from Nicetown on the incident. As he mentioned, one shooting incident and wound up rushing to another to report on that standoff. Let's get you to another story this morning. This was our Lauren Johnson reporting. A mother in Bucks County has been arrested and charged with killing her 2-year-old son. 42-year-old Jennifer Clary is being held without bail after she was charged with giving her 2-year-old, Mezakine Curtis, a deadly dose of Vicodin. Here is Lauren's report.
The district attorney calls this a terrible tragedy. It was no mistake, he says. In fact, he believes this was intentional, a murderous act by a mother. Police allege Jennifer Clary poisoned her son to death, putting a deadly dose of Vicodin in his sippy cup. Traces of the medication were also discovered in Mezakine Curtis's body. Police found the infant's body lying on a bed in their Tullytown home on the 500 block of Levitt Avenue on August 25th. The DA says the child had been dead for a number of hours before he was discovered by police. Responding officers found the mom right next to her son, bleeding heavily from self-inflicted cuts to her arm. She was taken to the hospital and she survived those injuries. Now she's facing serious charges, and police and the neighbors are stunned by her actions.
We sent his sippy cup to the lab, and the sippy cup and the contents of the sippy cup, the remains that were inside, liquid contents, did reveal the presence of Vicodin.
It was just terrible. As a parent, I mean, I know that I couldn't live without my kids, so I don't know what goes through somebody's head like that.
Happened right next door to me. You know what I mean? You'd like to think that you got decent people living next to you, and you never know.
The Bucks County DA is not clear on a motive at this point, but he does have some theories on what he thinks may have happened in this case. At one point, neighbors had offered to pay for that young boy's funeral. As for his 42-year-old mother, she will remain behind bars at the Bucks County Correctional Facility on no bail. Back to you.
That was Lauren Johnson reporting from Bucks County on that story. We are following some other local stories as well. There is an alligator reported to be spotted in Atlantic County. Now police are warning people in Mullica Township to keep their eye on any small pets while they try to track it down. Here's a map of where this reportedly occurred. They say a 3 to 4 foot alligator was seen on Hamburg Avenue between Route 30 and Durer Street yesterday. So if you're in that area, keep an eye out. They're urging you to keep your smaller pets indoors while they do look for that alligator that was spotted. High school seniors speaking out how 2 local high school students earned a seat with the new Philadelphia Board of Education and what they have planned for keeping your kids safe at school. We were talking about that this morning on Good Day Philadelphia, and here's the report.
Bob, can you imagine when you were in high school that you could be put on the Philadelphia School District, the board?
Never. Not me.
Me either. But when the state-run SRC, the School Reform Commission, disbanded just recently, the new Philadelphia Board of Education was formed.
And they decided that students should have a bigger voice at the table. And so they asked for people to send in their applications.
Wow.
And they ended up, more than 50 students tried out. But they ended up with these lovely these 2 teenagers here. So we have senior Julia Frank Good morning.
Good morning.
Northeast High.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And we have Senior Alfredo Practica.
Good morning.
From
Practico.
Practico, yes.
Masterman.
Masterman.
So we got Charter, and we got Northeast, right?
Magnet.
Magnet. Okay. Wow. First of all, you're on the Board of Education. You're on the board.
Yes.
Wow. So what's the idea of this?
So for us, really, they selected us because they want to hear the student perspectives.
Right.
And so our job is just to make sure to advocate for the interests of students across Philadelphia. Now that we finally have local control again, being able to present diverse student perspectives is just really exciting.
So does this mean, Alfredo, that you guys are going to be talking to all kinds of students across the district to see what they want?
Yep. There are 200,000 students roughly in the district, and
That's a big job.
That's a big job. We're making it our goal to get to as many of them as we can, whether in person or through social media.
Well, you talked to 100,000, then you talked to 100,000.
Yeah.
So we got
Yes.
this
No big
set.
deal.
What's the number one that you've talked to a lot of students already? What's number one on their minds?
We really feel that students would like a lot of equal opportunity among different schools. There's a great inequity between like a magnet school like Masterman and just like a regular neighborhood school between opportunities, whether it's extracurricular or opportunities such as internships or job placement or even like alumni networks.
Yeah.
And that's our big. We really want to make sure that everyone has those.
We do stories all the time about, well, teachers had to buy, pencils and stuff.
Right.
Resources, number one. I mean, people, they think like you don't have enough resources.
Yeah, so the big thing is resources. We want to make sure that our students are leaving high schools prepared, and so making sure that there are enough counselors for guidance, making sure that you have access and are learning how to do research, you have a librarian, and just making sure that students can really take advantage of all the opportunities we have.
And then it'll be up to you two to really voice all that, because you guys don't have a vote, though, an official vote, but you have that voice and to really kind of let them know what you're thinking from the student perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's a big responsibility.
I like it. I mean, the students need a voice at those meetings. This is a lot of responsibility for the two of you. One of your parents is a teacher?
Yes.
And you have your own company already?
Yes.
And she works at a pizza shop?
Yes.
And this guy's been on every advocacy board. Weren't you on Dr. Heights?
Yes, I was citywide student government, started that president until October 24th, and Philadelphia Youth Commission as well.
Now, how are you guys going to juggle all of these things?
It's definitely a lot. I love my planner, so just making sure that I have a schedule and keeping track of everything that I do.
How old are you?
17.
Good Lord. She has her own business. What is it? You make lip balm or something?
Yes, it's called City Slickers Lip Balm.
City Slickers. Oh, I love that name. Oh, how cute. How can people get in touch with you? How can they find it?
So right now I'm selling primarily to friends and family and people at my school, but sometime in the future I might want to open up an Etsy shop.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Alfredo, what are you selling?
Just selling my voice.
That's perfect. Well, good luck to you and come back.
Thank
After
you
your
so
first
much.
couple of meetings. That'd be great. All right, 8:36.
Again, that was on Good Day Philadelphia this morning. We had two of the student members of the Philadelphia School Board join us to talk about what they'll be doing with the board and their plans. It sounds like they have very busy young lives. A Chester County farm is paying tribute to the Philadelphia Eagles with a corn maze created in honor of the Super Bowl champs. So we sent Richard Curtis there to see if he can successfully make it through. Here was some of his report. Looks like that is just some overhead footage for you to enjoy of the maze itself. See, it says World Champions there at the bottom, Philadelphia Eagles. It's amazing how much time and energy that must take to make one of those. Let's get you live right now to North Carolina, where President Trump is arriving to tour the damage after Hurricane Florence. As a lot of the weather folks will tell you, the problem here is more the water flow than the winds. A lot of times hurricanes, the category system for categorizing hurricanes looks primarily at the wind impact and the sustained winds, and gusts would be higher. But in this case, the wind drove not just storm surge, but heavy rainfall into the North Carolina, South Carolina area, parts of Virginia as well. And that's resulted in some really troublesome flooding in that area. Disaster declarations, people left out of their homes. President Trump is arriving here in North Carolina to survey the damage. I believe he's going to get a briefing relatively soon after arriving. And so we're going to show you here the president's arrival in North Carolina, and we'll take you to some of those events as they happen. Let's listen in. saw me briefly there, but there's President Trump walking off to get the briefing in North Carolina. I believe that's North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper walking with him at his side. Looks like this briefing is going to occur right here in the hangar, so we'll stay with the shot and bring you the President's remarks as they happen. And those of the officials giving him updates here in North Carolina.
Moving good. Please sit down. Yes, ma'am. Anyway, Roy, do you want to start? Please. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it. The job you've done has been incredible. Incredible. They're talking about it all over the world, and we want to keep it going that way because some of the hard work is now. We've gone through very dangerous work and still dangerous, but some of the hard work is taking place right now, even though it's nice and beautiful and sunny. I was talking to the governor, and Governor, I want to thank you. Really fantastic job. But in speaking to the governor, some of the flooding is actually epic, hard to believe. And we've seen all the pictures where houses are literally covered beyond the roof. You don't even know there's a house there, and you know, one of those things. Well, the water's starting to go down now finally. But again, I want to thank Governor Cooper. I want to express my gratitude to your Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest, very importantly, and to all of the state and local leaders who have been really incredible partners throughout this response and recovery. There's been a lot of talent, a lot of work and a lot of talent. Without the talent, it doesn't work either. You had a combination of hard work and that great ability. We're joined also by Secretary Nielsen, Administrator McMahon, Director Mulvaney, and FEMA Administrator Long. I want to thank you all. Administrator, great job, incredible job. The planning that went into this is beyond belief. So I just want to thank the Secretary and Administrator. Really something special. I also want to thank some great friends of mine and some very talented people that love this state. They love all our states, I think we can say, and that's Senator Richard Burr. Where's Richard? Richard, thank you very much. You have great representatives. Senator Tom Tillis, thank you. Thank you. Where's Tom? Thank you, Tom. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey? What happened? Lindsey. Oh, look at Lindsey. Lindsey, do you want to pull up a chair? What happened to you? We could have. What do you think? Richard, would you let him sit at our table? I don't know. Come on, pull up a chair, Lindsey. But Lindsey's been great. And Tim Scott, where's Tim? Good. I don't know. I feel pretty guilty. Come over here. They have been fantastic, all four. And we've had a lot of help from Congress, in all fairness, and we're ready and they're ready to do whatever we have to do to make this perfect. And that means, unfortunately, the money will be a lot, but it's going to come as fast as you need it. We're going to take care of everybody. Hurricane Florence was one of the most powerful storms ever to hit the Carolinas, one of the most powerful and devastating storms ever to hit our country. To the families who have lost loved ones, America grieves with you, and our hearts break for you. God bless you. We will never forget your loss. We will never leave your side. We're with you all the way. And to all those impacted by this terrible storm, our entire American family is with you and ready to help, and you will recover. Most importantly, we give thanks to the incredible first responders, including sheriffs, police officers, firefighters, our great Cajun Navy. They're all over the place. I put them up online, and everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. But they put themselves, all of them, in harm's way, and what they've done to save precious lives of our citizens has been nothing short of incredible. Nearly 20,000 federal and military personnel are supporting the response efforts along with Southeast Coast, including brave men and women of North Carolina and the National Guard. Now, of course, we're going to South Carolina right after this, and they have been incredible, and I know you've worked and coordinated very well also, Governor, with South Carolina. It's been a really great partnership. Together with state and local first responders, they've assisted and rescued more than 3,000 people. So we want to thank you. And I will say I've been watching the Coast Guard with all of the helicopters lifting people off rooftops, and it's been an incredible job you've done again. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. More than 1.6 million meals have been delivered to North Carolina, and more than 400,000 are ready in South Carolina as soon as they're requested. So we're standing by with 400,000 meals in South Carolina. Crews have restored power to over 1.2 million customers already in North and South Carolina, and the power is starting to go on as soon as the water goes down. They're meeting the demand incredibly well. So I want to thank the power companies and all of the federal workers, but we have to also thank some of the power companies because they've been very responsive. As soon as that water goes down, for the most part, people have power. In moments of despair, we witness the true character of the American people. So true. Citizens all across our country rally together to rescue the stranded, to protect the innocent, and to restore hope to families who have experienced tremendous and unbearable loss. I want to thank all of the people here today, a very special group of people, very talented group of people. and we love working with you. It's an honor to work with you. We've done a real job, and we've got to continue to do that real job because another phase is coming in right now, and we're going to meet that phase just like we've met phase one. So, Governor, again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And to everybody, thank you very much. And whatever we have to do at the federal level, we will be there, and you know that 100%. And Secretary Nielsen, please.
Yes, sir. Well, first I just wanted to start by thanking you for your leadership. I think we all agree, we appreciate everything you've done so quickly to respond, to direct all of our federal government to support our partners. And what you see here is how that partnership works so well. So we've got the private sector, we've got our congressional members, state and local officials. We certainly have all of our good partners with DOD and the National Guard. So we are all working together as it should be in unity of effort under your leadership, and we greatly appreciate everyone's partnership. If I could, I'd like to ask the administrator to give us a brief update as to where we are.
So, Mr. President, as you know, a disaster response like this takes all of us working together, not just coordinating the federal government together, which has come together very well so far, but it takes all of us from neighbor helping neighbor all the way up to the federal government to help people overcome what they've been through. I've been on the ground yesterday. I'll be on the ground through tomorrow to make sure that I verify that we're doing everything that we can right now. This event's not over. The rivers are still cresting, and so we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to the life safety and life sustainment mission. But we're also simultaneously working on making sure that we stabilize all of the critical lifelines in regards to the infrastructure. So it's all interconnected. We got to get the roads open to be able to get the power crews into the isolated areas and the flooded areas. And we also have to put a big focus on the hazardous materials and the health and medical capabilities and getting them back up and running fully in every community. One of the things that's most important is that we're already pushing forward our disaster survivor assistance teams into the fields, into the shelters. We need people to register with 1-800-621-FEMA, or they can download the FEMA app, or they can go through disasterassistance.gov. But more importantly, my job is made easier when a governor like Governor Cooper, Mike Sprayberry, Eric Hooks have truly done their part to be self-sufficient at the state level. They have been very strong and capable partners, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And perhaps we turn it over to the governor. Governor, as you said so well yesterday, sunshine doesn't mean safety. So right here with you, we're in the midst of a very active response.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for coming to North Carolina as our rescue and recovery continues. Our rivers are still cresting, and there is still danger for some people. We're hoping that they can get evacuated and that our first responders continue to make sure that people are brought to safety. Our state took a gut punch, Mr. President, and our people are still reeling. We've lost 27 lives officially so far, and some more are under investigation, and we mourn their loss. We have farmers who have lost significantly their crops. A lot of businesses are down. And of course, people have lost their homes. We have about 10,000 people right now in shelters. I talked to one the other day who had a rescue out of an apartment in downtown Wilmington. And I will say this, all the way from firefighters in Wilmington to our state responders, our National Guard, and the United States Coast Guard, there have been some heroic first responders who have saved lives. We are beginning the process of getting our feet under us, Mr. President. We're getting water and supplies, hot meals to people. We're beginning to clear roads, although we have a number of roads continuing to be closed, including parts of Interstate 95 and Interstate 40. And you can imagine what that does to commerce and people trying to get from one place to the next. We have a lot of power that has been restored, but there are thousands of people who are still waiting to get their power back. I know that this state has a great economy, great education. We are a beacon in the South, and we have weathered storms before in our state. But Mr. President, we have never seen one like this. This one has been epic, it has been disastrous, and it has been widespread. It is a storm like no other. We're beginning the process with your federal help and with our local county people. So many of them are here today, and we want to thank our local responders and all of the help that they have given to deal with people right there on the ground. But we're starting to figure out how we will build back. We will do it in a smart and strong way. I've been grateful for Secretary Nielsen and for Admiral Buchman. Thank you for your help with the Coast Guard and helping to rescue people. And Mr. President, Brock Long, as FEMA Administrator, along with Albie Lewis, who has been here, they are helping us right now significantly, and we're grateful. I've got a great Emergency Management Director in Mike Sprayberry and my Secretary of Public Safety, Eric Hooks. They're all on board. Our Adjutant General of the National Guard, General Lusk, has been doing a fantastic job. And this Title X that we've invoked with our joint military exercise, we are grateful to the members of the U.S. military who have stepped up and helped us through this process. But Mr. President, we've got a long road ahead in the days and the months and even years ahead to make sure we build back to where we need to be here in North Carolina. And you're here, and I'm asking you, sir, for your help every step of the way. All of these federal agencies are going to have to help us in cutting red tape and making sure we can be smart about this rebuilding process. We still understand that people have a lot of immediate needs, and that's going to be critically important over the next few days and weeks. But long-term rebuild, I know the resiliency of North Carolinians. We have an amazing state. I know that we can come back stronger than ever, but we're going to need your help. And thank you for coming to listen to this.
And I'll be there. Thank you, Roy. We will be there 100%, and all of the folks from the federal government that are around the table, they're confirming it. That's why we started early, and we'll be here late. And we want to thank the great job you've done and all of you people. Thank you very much. I'd like to maybe ask Richard Burr to say a few words. You're a great senator who's done an incredible job. And then we're going to ask Tom Tillis to say a few words. These are two people that love this state and they love the country. Richard?
Well, Mr. President, I'm going to say to you, to this group, exactly what I said to you on the plane. I've been doing disasters in North Carolina as an elected representative for now 25 years. I've never seen the preparation, the coordination, the collaboration between the federal, state, and local government like I've seen prior to this event. If we do half as good in the response as we did to the preparation, then North Carolinians are going to be in good hands. The challenge is, quite frankly, going to be this. We're faced with things in this event that we haven't been faced with before. And the ability to have the Coast Guard and DOD assets in this state up front before the event has enabled those at a local, state, and federal level to adjust what plans we might have had in place and deliver water and food and essentials in a way that we could get it to any community in this state. Without that level of collaboration, we'd have people that were in serious, serious problems, much worse than today. And I am grateful for the federal component, but I am as grateful, Governor, for the way the state, emergency management folks, and first responders, who in some cases have been volunteers in local communities that had a boat, aided their neighbors, and that's what's great about this state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Richard, very much. And Tom?
Well, just very briefly, just to echo everything that Senator Burr said, but we're now moving towards the next step, which is getting the initial funding for recovery. We've made a request. We'll be moving forward with trying to get the money in place for some of the initial recovery, but then we'll work very closely with the governor. Governor, thank you for being so prompt on getting the initial need in. That was very instructive to the appropriation request. We'll continue to work with state and local authorities, and just thank all the volunteers as well. The Red Cross and everybody else who have come together. And Congressman Rouser, every one of the counties in his district were affected. He's been working hard. He's been on the ground the entire time, and this is when North Carolina, America's at its best. We're all coming together and working for the people in North Carolina and South Carolina. And President, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. And for your leadership. As Tom and Richard said, we're getting all teed up for a lot of money to come down to the area. You're going to need it, and we have it, and we will be supplying it. And there will be nothing left undone. You'll have everything you need. So we're going to have it's going to be probably a rough 2 weeks, and then it'll get a little bit softer, but it's going to be, people don't realize how, a very difficult phase is beginning probably today with the beautiful sunshine. So your two representatives and by the way, your congressman are working very hard. So we'll have it all taken care of. Thank you very much, Congressman. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Great job. Does anybody have anything to say? Any of our folks? Administrator McMahon, would you say something, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. First of all, I'm a North Carolina girl. I was born and reared in New Bern. Both my parents were civil service employees right here at Cherry Point Air Base, so I feel like I've come home. I'm the administrator of SBA, and I just want to let all of you know that where SBA comes in is not on the front side, but we are immediately right there. As a matter of fact, we're already staged at East Carolina to deploy our folks into the field to get people's businesses back up and running, to get them back in their homes. This is the time that SBA actually makes the loans and not just guarantees the loans. So please go to SBA.gov, click on the disaster banner. It'll take you to the right place. We've already approved, I think, just fewer than 10 applications already for mortgages and loans for businesses. So they're low interest, they're long-term fixed rates. So please allow us to help you go online and start getting your applications in so that we can help our communities and our homeowners and even renters who have lost personal property in the storm get back on their feet. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Linda, very much. Anybody?
Mr.
Any
President.
questions, statements? Congressman?
First of all, let me thank you for being here. You have a great heart for the American people. That's one of the things I like so much about you, and it just really means a lot for you to be here at this particular time. We have a lot of folks that are really, really hurting. And I've got a couple of points I want to make, but before I forget, though, I want to thank Brock Long and his team. I've been with him the past several days. They're doing incredible work. Everybody around this table is just doing a lot of collaborative, great work together. Your Admiral here at Coast Guard, I walked in the airport, RDU Airport, the other day, saw doctors and nurses that were stranded trying to find a way back to New Hanover Regional Medical Center. And this guy here helped us get it cleared to get them on that C-130 and take them to ILM Airport. And I don't think I've ever seen a CEO of a hospital that was happier than our CEO of New Hanover Regional the other day. So your team is doing an incredible, incredible job. A few things I want to mention. Housing is so critically important, as you know. Infrastructure, incredibly important. I serve on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, as you know. I'm really looking forward to working with you as we move forward on rebuilding our infrastructure, not just here post-storm, but we've got to do a lot of pre-mitigation work for the next storm. You know, these storms aren't going to end. They're going to keep coming. And the more we can prepare, the more we can clean out these rivers, these ditches, all the creeks and streams, they're all stopped up. That's part of the reason why we have such a monumental flood. My district, as Senator Tillis said, 8 of my 9 counties are almost completely underwater. They're all major disaster areas. And so I think rebuilding this infrastructure is going to be critically important. Of course, housing is number one. Agriculture in my district, huge component of this state, $87 billion industry. I see Steve Troxler here in the audience, our Commissioner of Agriculture. We've got to have more than just a new farm bill. We've got to have a real disaster package for agriculture as well. And then our beach communities. Our beaches, our inlets, and our waterways are a key component of infrastructure in this country. It's vital to tourism in my district, as you know. And of course, I know you're quite familiar with Wrightsville Beach and Wilmington and that area, and Brunswick County, Pender County. All these counties need a tremendous amount of help, and I just thank you and I appreciate you being here and appreciate all the work of your entire team. Not only now, but as we move into the future.
Appreciate it very much, Congressman.
Mr. President.
Yes, please.
My name is Woody White, and I represent 220,000 citizens of New Hanover County. I want to thank you for coming here. I'd like to echo the comments that were very ably made by David and the others around the table about what's been done. And I also want to share with you the hope and optimism that our people have about the economy that you've created, about the people that you've put back to work, because all of these next 2 or 3 or 4 phases of recovery are better because of the preparation of the economy that you have created, and we appreciate it. I have been out in our community since this storm, before it began, in it every day since it was here, and folks are cutting trees, putting power lines up, feeding their neighbors, loving each other, caring for each other, and they have incredible hope and optimism in the future. It tells me something that you brought the administrator of the Small Business Association here today, that you're thinking about the future too. I own a small business, and they're the lifeblood of our economy in New Hanover County, and we thank you for being here and for your leadership.
It's really nice. I appreciate it very much. The economy is fortunately doing really well, and I would say maybe the best economy our country has ever had. So that's important, and we want to get everybody back to work so they can, take the orders, because this area has been very badly damaged. But we'll get it up and working again, Governor, very quickly. I have no doubt about it. Anybody else? Anybody? Yes.
Mr. President, hi, I'm Jerry Jones, Mayor of Morehead City. And just on behalf of a grateful community, and not just talking about Morehead, but I'm talking about coastal North Carolina, your presence here today means a whole lot to all of us. It means, we're not left stranded alone on this island. It means the federal government's here helping us, along with the state government and many, many local governments. And being the mayor of a small town and having to be on the boots on the ground and walking the food lines with my constituents, and not just my constituents, I'm the people from outside the county. Just building up something that you said earlier about community pride and spirit. The community spirit is, from what I've witnessed, is as high as it's ever been.
Right.
It is not, and what I've learned also, that communities aren't just in neighborhoods or not just in towns and states. I'm talking about a national community. People have come from all over the nation to come to Carteret County to assist us. And just on my way up here, I had 3 phone calls from people throughout the state that wanted to bring provisions down to Carteret County, and so I'm helping organize that. And when I walk through the lines of the people, and I have to say, this is my first experience. I've never stood in line before to get a drink of water or a meal or sandwich or anyway. The people, when I ask them, my first question to them is how are you? Are you safe? And they said, yeah, we're safe. However, my neighbor, they lost everything they had. My house is underwater, and my response to them always is, yes, but at least we are here today talking about it. And they always just give praise to God when that's mentioned. And so I know we'll get through this together as baby steps, as we all mentioned. Although it happened overnight, the rebuilding's not going to be overnight, but from the state, local level, federal level, we'll make it happen. And again, just the presence of everybody around this table is going to mean a whole lot to everybody affected with Hurricane Florence. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, Mark Mansfield, Chairman of the Carteret County Commissioners, and I want to thank you and your team for coming down, Governor Cooper, Senator Tillis, Senator Byrd, and other representatives. But I'd especially like to thank Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest. He came down the day after the hurricane and visited us personally in the Emergency Operations Center. Things are still dire in Carteret County. We have over half of our whole county is without power. We obviously have had the river and the creek flooding, storm surge flooding in Williston and Stacy. They had probably 8 to 12 feet of water in homes. These people have been displaced, and we are temporarily sheltering. Neighbors are sheltering. We're going to need help with shelter. Big thing is public safety. We haven't had trash pickup since the Wednesday before the storm. They cut and run. We're getting back open now. But for health reasons, we need to make sure that we get all of you guys help to expedite the boots on the ground. I know protocols and procedures, you've got manuals, but as I look around, I see the military force here. Anybody who's done training, training's one thing, but being in the foxhole when the bullets are coming by your head are completely different. And we hope we will have all your continued support to help our boots on the ground, facilitate the resources, and help the people of our county and the surrounding counties in eastern North Carolina. Thank all you guys again. We appreciate all you're doing, and we'll probably be asking you for more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Excuse me? Yes, please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for being here, for coming to North Carolina. The story for Duke Energy is also a story of partnership. And so I'm pleased to report that we've restored 1.5 million citizens for power. We have 150,000 to go, and we will not leave until that power is restored. We've had an opportunity to work with so many around the table that have made it possible, with the governor and his administration, with Director Sprayberry, with the federal agencies, Secretary Nielsen, Undersecretary Krebs, not only the planning but the resources necessary to restore power on this scale. So we thank you for the leadership and the partnership. It's made it possible, and we're anxious to get 150,000 more citizens back.
Good. Thank you very much. And how is Lake Norman, that area, how is that doing?
Good.
It's doing good?
But still 10 or 12 inches of rain.
I love that area. I can't tell you why, but I love that area. It's been really terrific.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. President, Secretary Mattis gave us very clear direction from the Department of Defense to make sure that we anticipated every need that the states could have so we could help the citizens. Governor Cooper's team here was phenomenal to help us understand what exactly those needs were going to be so we could pre-posture and be ready for immediate response. So hats off to Governor Cooper and the broader team here in North Carolina. And also at FEMA, Brock Long was able to help us coordinate that federal response that was seamlessly tied into the state and local efforts. And I'd like to highlight, Mr. President, that there are 28 different states that have contributed to the National Guard through the EMACs, the compacts that they have with the state of North Carolina, between North Carolina and South Carolina, and that just shows the strength of the National Guard as well, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Okay, thank you very much. Let's get back to work. Thank you. Thanks.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Sorry if you got on the subject.
It's been really, we have tackled this really
Sure.
I'll tell you, it's working great. Working great. Thank you, Sheriff. Pleasure. You see my brother where I sleep. Thanks for the opportunity.
You've been watching a news conference in North Carolina where President Donald Trump has been receiving a briefing about the response to Hurricane Florence right there in an airport hangar after he exited Air Force One. Had leaders from the state, county officials, city mayors, Department of Defense, all talking about the response to the historic flooding that's occurring there in North Carolina. I understand he said later today he'll be heading to South Carolina as well. Looks like he's getting into a Humvee here, and he's posing for a photo in front of one. Dozens have died in the Carolinas as a result of the storm, but government officials working to try and get as much assistance as they can to the survivors and those who are flooded out of their homes at this time. Still hundreds of thousands without power, and it's starting to get hot again down there. So they're going to need to find ways to keep people cool, help them, get them sheltered, get them whatever they need until they can get back into their homes. Let's get you a quick look at the stock market. New York Stock Exchange up about 0.75 percentage point, 200 points at the moment. Dow Jones Industrial over 26,450. Fox Business Network is attributing the Dow's climb to tariffs seen less damaging. They're saying Trump's tariffs a slap on China's wrist, according to experts. And also reporting that the housing market is finally warming up to buyers. China has threatened its own tariffs in response to the latest round imposed by the president. Also in the news, U.S. and Canada are resuming top-level NAFTA talks. All this despite experts saying that Hurricane Florence ranks among the top 10 costliest U.S. storms. Look again at President Trump leaving the hangar there after his briefing on the hurricane response. And now driving off momentarily. Let's get you to a local story that came in while we were on that news conference. Philadelphia police put out information about they're asking for the public's help in locating a missing 17-year-old girl from Kensington. Nydia Akers was last seen Monday on the 1900 block of North Monmouth Street. Police have described Nydia as 5 feet tall, 90 pounds, with a small build, brown eyes, medium brown complexion, and long brown hair. She was last seen wearing a black and white shirt with blue jeans. Anyone with information on Nydia's whereabouts is asked to contact Philadelphia Police Department's East Detectives at 215-686-3243. Anyone with information can also call 911. Again, this is Philadelphia Police saying they're asking for the public's help to find 17-year-old Nydia Akers, who's missing from Kensington, last seen on the 1900 block of North Monmouth Street. Let's get you a look at radar. Satellite and radar here. Looks like some rain in the northern reaches of Pennsylvania is dissipating as it moves down this way. See a little bit of cloud cover moving through, but not too bad of a start to the day. Fox 29 Kathy Orr reported last night that high pressure would build into the area with sunshine and dry conditions, and that's what's happened. It's still a little bit humid overnight, or it was overnight. Clear skies, low 68, but it's going to be mostly sunny today. Let's take a live look at Old City, Philadelphia, right outside our studios. We're up to 79 degrees at the moment. Dew point is 66. Winds out north at 12 miles per hour. Here's a live look at the beach in Ocean City, New Jersey. See, some folks are getting out there to enjoy the nice weather down the shore. About that dew point in the 60s, the National Weather Service had something to say about that a couple moments ago. See if we can get that for you up on the screen. I'll just read it to you while we are here, looking at beautiful Ocean City, New Jersey. It said, hesitant to call dew points in the 60s comfortable, but feels that way after the oppressive run of dew points in the 70s. Dew points may reach 70 Friday night, then are possible again late next week. The high mark of 244 hours of dew points over or equal to 70 in 1970 may be safe. We're apparently making a run at that. We were at 199 hours of dew points at or above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The record is 244 hours from 1970. The average from 1948 to 2017 was under 70 hours. So we had quite the stretch there of humid conditions in our area. Nice to see that subsiding a bit. Let's get you a look at conditions around the region. Here are your current temperatures. Hasn't quite warmed into the 80s around our area just yet. A lot of 70s, 78 in Wildwood, 79 at the shore. Still 68 in the Poconos where it's a bit cooler. Here's your northeast temperatures. Creeping into the 80s around our area. That cloud cover may be keeping us a little bit cooler. And here are your national temperatures. 90 down in Tampa, 89 in New Orleans, 87 out in Phoenix. Pacific Coast cool in the 50s, 47 in Billings, Montana. Not too windy right now, although we apparently did have a wind gust recently of about 20 miles an hour in Philadelphia. Wind speeds in the teens in some places. Very good visibility right now. Your Fox 29 Weather Authority weather by the numbers. Today's an 8. Nice weather. Beautiful day out there. If you get a chance to enjoy it, get out there. And here's your 7-day forecast. Sun and clouds, about 82 for a high today, 8 today, 8 again tomorrow. Sunshine, 78. More humid, 77 on Friday. Saturday, overnight Friday into Saturday, I believe is when fall begins. Saturday we'll start with an AM shower, high of 77. Rain to the south, Sunday at 76. Monday, clouds thicken, high of 77. And we'll have a rain chance on Tuesday with a high of 76. So again, we're seeing some clouds and sun across the area, mix. A little bit of cloud cover, probably moving into the city momentarily. It looks like that rain is staying away at the moment. Take one more live look at the shore. I want to thank you all for joining us on Fox 29 News Now. Hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching, and please tune in to the Fox 29 News at 5, 6, 10, and 11 for the latest on Hurricane Florence response, the Supreme Court nomination process, the hearing that may take place on Monday, and we'll bring you all the latest on other news from around the region. Have a great afternoon.